In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we wrap up with our part 3 of 3, getting started with marketing in your MSP. And today we're talking about powerful platforms. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. Now, for the last 3 weeks, we've been blasting out a bit of a mini-series here, which is all called Getting Started with Marketing, particularly for your MSP. Now, the reason that we've done this is because we know that this is an area that people really struggle with marketing in your MSP. How do I stand out from my competition? How do I differentiate myself? How do I get more leads and stop becoming a referral business? And all of these kind of things that we hear on a daily basis almost at the Growth Hub. Now, what we've done is the last 3 episodes we put together, and I would urge you to go and check the last 2 out if you haven't already. Episode 129, we talk about the perfect process. So getting together and really understanding what it is that makes this marketing so simple and yet why we make it so hard as MSP business owners. And the next show is episode 130, where we talk about magic messaging. Now, messaging is absolutely important to build that rapport, to build that trust in your business. And in that episode, we went through and helped you to understand who your avatar is, what sort of language you should be using, how to put messages together, and all of this kind of great stuff. So it's a really great jam-packed show. And then finally, today we're going to be talking about powerful platforms. What gets measured gets done. What platforms should we use? Which ones do we use for the best reach? Which ones do we use because I can't be bothered to do any marketing? And, this is all bringing it together in the systems and your happy place as an MSP business owner, very happy on the system side of things. And, when you look these days at social media and you look at the different platforms, and probably by the time that I've finished recording the show, there'll be another platform popping up, Used to be all about Twitter and Facebook, and now we've got Instagram and TikTok and all of these other platforms that are coming out. And, obviously the good old favorite, the steady one, LinkedIn. What's really important, particularly with the messaging, as well as understanding how you're marketing and how you're going to digitally market in this new world that we live in, I suppose, is the different types of messaging you need for each platform. So to go into LinkedIn, you're looking for something to enhance your business, whether it be your own business or whether it be the business that you work for. To go onto Facebook, you'll probably want to get away from the distractions of business, and you want to watch a cat falling off a telly, or you want to see how wonderful everyone else's holidays are and all of that kind of good stuff. Now, the messaging is very, very different, because if I'm purposefully going onto LinkedIn and I want to look at something to help me grow my business, for example, or help me keep secure and safe in my tech stack, I'm going to want to go and learn. Whereas with Facebook, for example, if you were to do a Facebook campaign or post or anything like that, then you're going to need to interrupt, because they're not going there to look for IT support. They're not going there to look for what you do. You're going to have to kind of interrupt, which is why Facebook is always a little bit more difficult. And, Instagram is very visual. So if you've got, there are some people who post quite a lot of pictures around, servers and all of that kind of good stuff on Instagram, which some people love because it's very visual and they look at it, but then other people on TikTok, there's different platforms on there. And I think at the top of the show, you need to pick the platform where your target audience are. You need to pick the platform and understand the messaging that is going to resonate and it's going to make them take the next step. And you also need to understand what analytics is going on and what posts are resonating with people and what posts are not resonating with people and all of these sort of good things. I always kind of repeat the story of one of my best LinkedIn posts I ever did. It was probably about 5 years ago now, where I went out for a run and I came back and I was all feeling a bit pumped up and the adrenaline was running, and took a selfie and put it out there and said, hey, look, this is how I started my Monday morning. What are you guys up to? And obviously you get half the people who go, no, blimey, I'm still in bed. What are you doing out there at this time in the morning? And others are going, yep, I've just done a run. And it was because it was just not about business. It was a personal post. People were learning about me and what I did and why that was interesting. So you've got to mix up the content. You've got to mix up the messaging, and you've got to make sure that you really understand. Otherwise, what will happen, and we see this an awful lot, you'll pop along to your local marketing agency, who doesn't know anything about MSPs or how people buy from MSPs and the journey that you need to go through. And they'll say to you, hey, yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, we can do that for you. We'll put some blogs out. Oh, great. I hate writing blogs, but thanks very much for doing that. And 6 months later, you'll be paying them, I don't know, anything between 500 and probably about 1,500 quid a month. And you'll have no results. And the reason you won't have any results is because you haven't listened to this podcast and you haven't gone through the whole sales process and understood what the purpose of the top of funnel content's all about, why the content in the middle of the funnel needs to be different, and why the content again at the bottom of the funnel needs to be different. And you need to understand, some of the things around that marketing and some of the things around that process that you're going to take people through. Because the social media is an absolute minefield. There's so many, it's like shiny ball syndrome. It's when someone brings out a new PSA, I can see you all, licking your lips now going, oh my God, there's a new PSA. Do we need to go onto this one? Why is this one better than the last? But it can be very, very confusing. It can be very distracting. And you can also take a long time to get the results, which is why we're going to run through some of those systems today. So, as we mentioned, everyone, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, they're all different. And if you think about the journey, the ideal journey that you need to take them from, it's got to be get them from a social platform and get them to your website. This has got to be the journey. Once they're on the website, we want to get them on the phone. It's as simple as that. You need to qualify them in or qualify them out. So someone's seeing you on social, whatever you're doing, whether you're plugging in a server on TikTok or whether you're on holiday on Facebook or whether you're putting out a content-rich, credibility-building post on LinkedIn, understand what's going on there and then understand where you want to drive them to. Yes, we get calls from people we get messages from people direct on LinkedIn. Of course we do. But we also get people who message us through the website. And then, we get people who message us through emails. So it's a multi-level marketing. It's multiple audiences that you need to be building as you're moving through. But the website's really important process in this because this is where you build that credibility. So again, we go back to show 130. We're talking about the messaging and then understanding the process, obviously, in the previous podcast on 129 as well. But making sure your website is talking in the same language than your prospects do. Making sure that it's got stuff in there, content on there that's interesting, that they care about, that bothers them, that covers off some of the issues and challenges that they're having, some of the language that they're using, and that you're answering some of the questions that they're asking. It's really as simple as that. But more importantly, with the website, because this is a big part of the system as well, it's got to have a really simple journey. What do you want me to do next? Do you want me to hunt around for the contact me button? Have I got to go all the way to the contact page and then go down there and find your form I've got to fill out? Is there a phone number I've got to make it easy for them? If you've got a quiz or you've got a survey or you've got an audit, pop it on the homepage, right at the top of the header. Take our audit and work out how your maturity is in your MSP or whatever it might be. Click this button to book a call with one of our experts. Click the, make it really, really simple. Remember that everybody, who's looking at your website is not the same as you. You need to make it so simple as everyone's kind of like a 7-year-old. I think it's, mind you, 7-year-olds are probably quite clever these days, aren't they? So probably should be a bit careful about making comments like that. But anyway, it needs to be really simple. It needs to be really clear and put yourself in the way of your buyers as well. So, once we've got your website in place, they hit your website, they go, wow, this is just for me. This is what I need. I'm either going to call you, I'm going to ring you, or I'm going to get a form filled out and move through. How are we connecting them with an email? Marketing CRM. So what platform are you using? You might be able to use Calendly or other platforms for booking the call. But how are you then connecting them to your CRM? So you can then send them a welcome email and say, hey, thanks very much to Luckett's IT. Look what we've put together for you, a little email here on all the things that we do or whatever your welcome sequence is. But get them on the email list, because if they're not ready to buy now, then the most important thing is that we then marinate them and we keep them nice and warm and educated so that they're knowing and liking and trusting us, and they're building that rapport with us, even through digital marketing, which obviously through email is one of them, and making sure you've got that connected properly so it sends off automations and good content. But what's really important with the email CRM is that we understand how we're measuring it. So who's opening up how many emails? What emails do they care about? What emails do they not care about? What was the best email? And who are the biggest people? Who are the people who are really watching every email and making up your contents? Now, thinking about it, you don't need to have hundreds of thousands of people in your email list. When we boil it down, if we put one new client in every MSP, that we talk to every single month, most of them will probably be overwhelmed because the structure of the business is possibly not set up in the correct way. But every 2 months, and you say that your conversion rate is 50%, how many leads do you need? We're talking single figures here, right? So, how many leads do you need to get to that point? You could probably, if you had a properly qualified quality email list, you could probably generate a bucket load of business from 50, maybe 60, 70 leads. How do you get those people signed up on your list? What events are you going to go to? Are you going to start to get them signed up on your list and give them value-based content, good bit of a newsletter or something like that? So really understanding, how you're going to use your email system as well. And then the last key piece here really is around content planning and creation. So don't boil the ocean and try and get 15 blogs and just think that everybody just wants to write a blog. Think about what's the 4 key pillars, the 4 key things that your clients come towards you all about. So here's the thing. At the Growth Hub, we know that most people want sales and marketing because that's what they think they need to grow their business. But in actual fact, once we start running them through some of our processes and systems and tools, we soon see that there's not a lot of capacity in the business if you start to drop in a whole load of new leads. So we sort out the strategy, the growth strategy, then we sort out and then we talk about sales and marketing. However, if sales and marketing is the thing that's going to make it all a bit salty and they're going to be the things that's going to make you interested, then that's the content that we need to be putting out there. So in your world, if it's around cybersecurity, because they're unsafe and they're not secure and they want to be compliant or they need to be compliant because they might be either in healthcare or legal or whatever it might be, then you've got to put content out that talks about things that they really care about. The fact that, and putting this to the same analogy, the fact that if they come into your world and they say, yes, we need cybersecurity, blah, blah, and you start doing an audit and realize that all the laptops are actually broken, the network's absolute most insecure thing you've ever seen in your life, and the infrastructure's an absolute pile, then you're going to need to work on that first before you even start thinking about what systems you're going to need to connect them with. So hopefully you can see kind of how we're linking this together, that what might be the initial thing that they're interested in might not be the thing you actually end up selling them. So making sure you've got your content planning, and I'm going to drop a link in the show notes here on a sales and marketing masterclass webinar we did a little while ago, that we've got a recording and you click the link and then you can get access to the recording. But if you've written a blog, you could quite easily record an audio message, a podcast. You could record a little 1-minute message. You could do a little 10-page PDF cheat sheet. You could do a little meme. You could do a little LinkedIn story, all sorts of different things just off one idea. So what I don't want you to do is to get into content overwhelm and think you've got to create all these pieces of content. I need to get an agency to write me a blog a month, blah, blah, blah. Because if you correctly structure the blog properly, then you should be able to get 3 or 4 different pieces of content out of each blog itself anyway. So write 4 key blogs, get some 4 key messages, then get 3 points on each of those blogs. And before you know it, you've kind of you've got 12 plus pieces of information already. So making sure that you've got a clear content process is really important, but don't make it so complicated that you're disappearing because it's that busy. So let's talk about analytics, right? Who's doing what? So every journey, every process, every system that you're using, whether it be you're tracking your impressions and the likes and the comments and the clicks and the shares on LinkedIn, that's nice and it's lovely and it strokes our ego and it makes us all feel rather good. But what I really want to know is how many people have then visited the website from there. So what's the website performance analytics look like? Have we got heat maps on there? But what I really want to know is how many people have booked a call. And then what I want to find out is, of those people who've booked a call, how many of them have we qualified into our sales funnel and let them into our world? And how many people are now going through a strategy call or a further detailed qualification process? So making sure that you know that you're not just faffing around again at the top of the funnel, getting all excited about your likes and your impressions, because it really only matters when someone rings you up. So what's that journey look like? Just mentioned it a minute ago, but more importantly, I want to see, you need to be able to see the posting and the analytics on who's doing what. Then, making sure you're reviewing that weekly, making sure you're putting more content out there, the ones that they like, but also don't kind of like kill yourself with it, because in the month of May, which is where we're recording this podcast right now in the UK, there's been 3 bank holidays. So it's an absolutely crazy time. People could be on holiday, and that's why there's a really good run time, so that you can make sure that you've got enough time and enough space between campaigns and between different types of content that you've got going out there for people to absorb the content as well. So making sure you're reviewing it properly. Next section I want to cover on is events. Events is possibly one of the most important, powerful armories to sit in a MSP's marketing toolkit. The more time people spend with you, the more chance they've got of buying from you. So you holding events with your local chamber of commerce, could be a local police station, could be a local business networking group, whatever it might be. Getting a really succinct message keynote. Hey, you could even use the 4 key topics you came up with your content creation, couldn't you? Those 4 key pillars, because if that matters to your people on social and digital, then I'm sure it's going to matter to a lot of people who are actually sitting in a room with you. Give them a little PDF takeaway. Give them a little something to take away after the event, and keep the message alive, and keep your keynote or your conversation alive. Everyone's always looking for people, for kind of like podcasts and presentations. So get yourself those nice little succinct message and get yourself out there. Get your name out there. Be known to be the expert in the area for or whatever niche you're in for your IT support and your managed services. But then what you also can do is you can also run like direct message campaigns as well. So, in LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, could have a link of contacts who you might want to then go and put a direct message campaign saying, hey, we've just written this new piece of paper or this new white paper. Do you want to, have a download? All these kind of good things as well. And, and using those message campaigns too. So, one of these, just kind of putting this into a bit of context, we had a client who worked with us. He's been with us for nearly 2 years now, and he works with construction companies because that's where he came from. And what actually happened was the massive result. And in actual fact, it's funny you should be listening to this podcast right now, because about 4 days ago, he messaged me and he just signed a deal, and he's a multi-6-figure business. He just signed a deal closing his ideal target market on £6,000 a month. So we were like super pumped to be hearing that. But the reason he did that is because, number one, his sales conversion rate is ridiculously high. It's way north of 60%, because he's tailoring his decks around the messaging, previous podcast. He's using the process. He's understood the sales journey that he's going to take people through. But more importantly, he's not going to accept everybody into his world, because not everyone's going to fit into his world, because his business is set up to suit a certain type of businesses, clients. Now, some of you might be thinking, yeah, but I'd serve every business and I'm doing all right out of it. Well, you might be. That's great. But if you want to get super relevant and you also want your clients to be, really feel cared and cherished, then by having a niche and having a target market that's really, really clear, is actually going to mean that you're going to build more expertise in that area. You're going to understand what's going on in their sector. You can talk to them easier and, resonate with their pains really simply as well. And then, you can tailor the content towards them, opinion pieces, white papers, the checklists, surveys, all of this kind of good stuff. And as I say, it's got a ridiculously high conversion rate. So he doesn't need that many people in his sales funnel. This is what I'm trying to get across, is that you don't need to have thousands of people on your email list to run a 7-figure MSP. You really do not. It's just about being super targeted, super relevant, and having the process in place that's going to help you automate a lot of this as well. So getting the right systems and the right messaging in the right platform is going to supercharge your results. I've never been a fan of scheduling tools. Why not? Well, because I've heard various people saying, oh, it kills your reach, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. People want to keep you on the platform. LinkedIn want to keep you on the platform. If you go start posting YouTube videos on LinkedIn, guess what? Your reach is going to die, because they're not going to promote you going off that platform and somewhere else. And it's kind of as simple as that. And organic, I really do believe that organic quality content posted, by your team, on a regular basis to keep you consistent and relevant is how to win. Yes, you could use all these scheduling tools, and yes, it takes a lot of the pain out of it. Does it affect your results? I don't know. I'm not really willing to risk it. I don't really know. I do know, in actual fact, no, I do know, because we did test this for one of our clients, and when we used one of the scheduling tools, there was a real drop in impressions. So just be careful. And what I'm saying is just test it, and just see. Do a week of not using the tool, and then a week of using the tool, and see what the difference is. No one's going to ring you up and say, hey, I saw a great blog of yours, it really resonated with me, if they don't see it, right? So even if you get 50% reduction, but it saved you a bit of time, what would you rather do? Have 10 absolutely perfect prospects who you're just going to nurture over the next few months and close them in, or 100 people you're putting a bucket load of energy into, giving them a bad message, and some of them might come in, they might not even be educated and qualified enough anyway to make a decision. So I'll let you ponder with that one, but making sure you've got the right systems is really important. Understanding your sales metrics. How many leads do you need a week? How many new clients do you need a month? It isn't normally that many. So don't try and boil the ocean on these massive systems and big costs and having all the stuff that the marketing companies want you to have, because that's what you need to do. So actions in terms of other podcasts, as I mentioned before, the episode 129 was all around the perfect process, your perfect marketing process for your MSP. Last week's one was episode 130, which is all around that magic messaging to make sure that you're resonating, you're really hitting the sweet spot with your messaging and your copy. And then today around the powerful platforms. And if you want to see how some of this stuff in action works, then what you need to do is click on the link in the show notes, and we've put a link in there to our recent sales and marketing masterclass, only about half an hour, 40 minutes long, but it will really help you bring it all together and really understand what we've been talking about in the last 3 episodes of the podcast, what we have been talking about, and how we've connected it all together, and why certain things matter and why certain things you just do not need to fill your head with. So look, I've really enjoyed putting these 3 shows together, thoroughly enjoyed it. It's actually spawning me on to maybe do some more little mini series. I'll get my brain working and seeing what we can come up with in the meantime on that. But that's the end of the show. Hope it's been a great value to you. As I say, we've got the last 3 there, so go and listen to them all over again and see how you get on with that. And download the latest sales and marketing masterclass. You can also pop over to mspgrowthhub.com and check out our events section and see where we'll be popping up on a screen near you real soon. So that's it from me today. You go and enjoy the rest of your day. Be good, take care, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, I'd love it if you could leave a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform. If you want to learn more about how to take your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, go faster, then come and join Stuart Warwick and myself in the Scale with Confidence Facebook group. The link is in the show notes. You go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.